You're very welcome back to the programme. Now, a report is to be launched today making the economic case for prevention and early intervention for vulnerable children. It explains that for every euro spent early in life, potentially saves many hundreds of euros later in life. Well, I'm joined now by Professor Noirin and by Foluke Oladuso, whose three daughters have all been through an early intervention programme. You're both very welcome this morning. Noirin, I'll just go to you first, if we can explain what this is about. I mean, what are you talking about here? It's spending on education, on prevention services. What is the new evidence that this works in Ireland?
The idea of prevention and early intervention is, as the name suggests, that you're getting in early with children and families so that if there are any likely problems coming down the line, you might actually be in a position to prevent those by providing family supports and later support for individual groups of children.
I suppose the question is, we've known that for a long time. We hear that all the time. So what's new about today?
Well, we have known it for a long time. Believe me, we've known it for a long time. And what's new about what is happening today is that it's pooling a lot of Irish research. Beforehand, we were drawing on research from the UK and from America and from Australia and so forth. But we didn't actually have a lot of data ourselves. And the Prevention and Early Intervention programme was a commitment to provide support for services, a wide variety of different types of services. There are, I think, 40 or 41 reports, research reports now. So it was to invest the money, allow the services to develop and evaluate those services in terms of effectiveness. Now, it's early days in the evaluation because it's maybe 6-8 years ago, so we're still, children progress and impacts happen later on in life as well. But the evidence certainly coming from the prevention and early intervention evaluations is very positive in terms of its effect on children, but also its kind of peripheral effects on the practices, parental practices, but also in preschools, the staff practices and so forth. So it's evidence there about what happens in the Irish context.
And there is actually a figure here that early intervention brings a 4-to-1 return on investment. Explain that figure to me. How have you measured that?
Yeah, well, the cost effectiveness of the overall prevention and early intervention project itself, there hasn't actually been an overall, because they would be different interventions in different localities, and they were evaluated as a whole. Now, there is evidence from other research, and the UK would be the one that's perhaps strongest, that comes with that one kind of, I think, pound in gives you £4.
I remember there was a very famous American study that said for every dollar you spent on a child under the age of 5, you saved $20 on incarceration.
That's right, and of course, but you see the whole cultural climate and that study, when it was taken, started from a different perspective, and
probably
there's much more
dealt with the very needy
indeed,
children.
And there's been much more refined cost-benefit analysis. I'm not an economist, so I can't go into the technical details. But the real factor is, though, that there is a benefit in cost. There's no doubt about it that the earlier you invest, the more likely you are to reap that benefit further down the line, and the less has to be spent in remediation. And I think the big message really is to look at the investment that's being made, say, across departments, across services for children and young people, and think about re-looking at how that's spent and front-loading a little bit more of that in prevention and early intervention services.
And it would seem that Frances Fitzgerald is on message with this. She's certainly spoken about it.
Minister Fitzgerald
certainly is. But it's still discretionary
is.
spending, isn't it? Whereas you have to pay to lock a person up in prison. You have to find that money. You don't have to pay to give a 4-year-old extra hours.
And in a way, that's the point. This has to be seen as a kind of a commitment by government, a sort of a notion for a vision for Ireland that all government departments are willing to participate in to whatever extent they can. And the Department of, Public Expenditure and Reform and public expenditure, that's the department which could, in the current kind of departmental list, actually drive that. Yes.
Foluke, just to bring you in here now, first of all, to be clear, nobody's suggesting that your daughters who have been through some early intervention programmes were heading for prison or anything like it, but what difference has it made to your family to have kind of extra resources for your daughters while they're young?
Oh, it certainly makes a lot of difference in my family, because the program that my children was in was an after-school program. It was called Matrix, and it was a pro-social program. So it teaches them how to handle their feelings, how to communicate, and how to look at things from different perspectives. That's the big word they bring home for me. And then they, you know, and I think every family should go through that. Every children should be able to avail of such programs.
And what is the difference has it made to them, do you think? I mean, obviously they're happier, but do you think it's made them more kind of attached to their studies or increase their potential in life?
Definitely, yes. Yeah, it has helped them to be more focused and to be more socially inclusive and to look at things from other people's perspectives. And also, it makes them to express their feelings, what their problems are, and they'll be able to say, Mommy, I'm not happy about this. Can we do it this way? Or what do you think I can do? Which I think is lot of problem for a lot of children, that they are unable to place their feelings.
Yeah.
And that programs, it really helps my children to be able to place their feelings and in different approach, and to be able to handle situations that comes their way in a certain way. Like they taught them how to speak to people, not too close and not too far away. Speak up, high contact, and express your feelings. And that brings us parents into the programs as well. They train us, you know, like how to communicate with children.
So it's good for the entire family.
Yes, it's the entire family. It was kind
Sounds like something everybody should be doing, to be honest.
Definitely.
Well, listen, we're going to leave it there for this morning, but thank you very much indeed, both of you, for coming into us. So it's a very interesting report. That's being launched this morning, yeah?
Yes, it is.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Well, now it is time for the business news, and Brian Finn is here. Brian.
Keelan, thank you very much. Shares in internet search engine Yahoo